This episode is sponsored by the Hawkeye Wrestling Club in Iowa City. The Hawkeye Wrestling Club sponsors several athletes who compete on the USA wrestling circuit. This sponsorship allows athletes to continue to compete and train in a competitive environment as they strive to earn world and Olympic medals. The Hawkeye Wrestling Club has several upcoming events that fans of Iowa and the sport of wrestling can attend to help support their cause. On September 26th, they will host their Des Moines golf outing at the Echo Valley Country Club, and on October 5th, they'll host their annual trap shooting event. Both events should be a great time, and they will also provide an opportunity to see the wrestlers and coaches of the Hawkeye Wrestling Club up close, and you can kind of interact with them on a little bit more personal level. If you have interest in finding out more on these events, head to HawkeyeWrestlingClub.com, and this link will also be included in the show notes. Hey everybody, it's your host Ross Bartachek welcoming you back to another episode of Potentially Dangerous. This week's guest is the one and only two-time All-American for the University of Iowa, Alex Marinelli. Marinelli is a 165-pound wrestler for the Hawkeyes, coming back for his redshirt junior year. He was the number one seed at the NCAAs, and he's always been a big supporter of IA Wrestle, so we were happy to have him back on the podcast. He was actually on episode 6 back in 2015, so happy to have Alex back and hope you enjoy the program.
Hey, is this heaven? No, it's Iowa.
From high school to international wrestling, on the mat and beyond, this is the Potentially Dangerous podcast with the guys from IA Wrestle.
If you're a fighter, you like a fight. If you're an American, you like a fight. If you're an Iowa Hawkeye, you know you're going to get a fight.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes and all your podcast-friendly apps. And follow us on social media platforms at IA Wrestle. Time to strap it up and get to the show.
And we're live. Welcome back to the podcast, Mr. Marinelli. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Ross?
I'm doing well. It's always good to talk to, you're like one of, if not the first guest to ever appear on our podcast, and you might be like one of the only people to repeat as a guest, so it's always a great day when I'm talking to Alex Marinelli.
Well, I feel honored.
Do you remember the last time you were on this podcast?
Oh, I remember, yeah. I remember.
Oh, man, you got a pretty good memory to go back to 2015, and I think you were just in junior in high school maybe, talking to you that summer,
Yep.
So...
Yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, it's come a long way since then, huh?
Yeah, it's been good. You guys are getting some good, coverage and doing the sport justice, and it's been good, so, yeah.
Oh, well, I was kind of doing a little bit of research and looking back from the last time we did talk to you, and on that podcast, one of the things we talked about was your weight coming into Iowa, and back then, you and I had a conversation offline that we brought up on the podcast where you were saying, back then 57 wasn't being ruled out. And then I kind of thought that was funny because I was looking through some old social media posts looking for something else the other day, and I found the photo that Morningstar posted when you must have won like a middle school state championship at 164 pounds. That sound right?
Yeah, I won state my 8th grade year at 64, so that was 164.
Do you just have you just been 160 pounds your entire life?
So I matured pretty early. I would say, I guess every year of my wrestling career / football career, I gained like 20 pounds each year. So like 5th grade, I was maybe 100 pounds or 100 and something. And then I'd go up to like 120, then 140, then 160. Like I was always getting bigger, and I never really like cut any weight. So like, I wasn't really focused on the weight cut aspect of it. I was just, feel good. Football was actually my main sport growing up. And then wrestling was, something that I did because, I was aggressive and, I was pretty decent at it. And then once I stopped growing at 8th grade, I stayed at 164. I've been there my whole life. So I'm probably a 65 pounder for life. So
this is a little bit of a sidetrack question, but I swear it's a little bit related. Do you know how big you were as a baby? Like how much you weighed?
Oh, I have no idea. That's a good question. Well, I think I was big, though. I think my mom said I was a big pain. So,
well, I was just going to say, because, if you were a big baby, I was thinking easy math is, 10 pounds, 16 ounces a pound. That's 160 ounces. Maybe just 160 is your body's magic number.
Yes, exactly.
All right,
I
terrible
don't know
joke.
if I don't know if I was that big. I don't know if I was 10 pounds, but
Yeah. All right. Well,
but
my
yeah,
terrible joke's out of the way now. I kind of wanted to. Let's talk.
exactly.
Let's talk about growing up. Grew up in the state of Ohio, of course. Miamisburg, is that your hometown, right?
Yep. Miamisburg, Ohio. It's about 15 minutes from Centerville. People know Centerville, Ohio more than Miamisburg because AJ Hawk played football in Centerville and Mike Nugent and other guys at the big football town. And then Miamisburg is kind of a suburb kind of feel. People think it's like all city, but honestly, like you drive down my road, my old hometown, like there's cornfields and like it's kind of a weird vibe of a city. It's a great hometown. It's more of a football school, so I always knew I wanted to play college football growing up. And then if I stayed at Miamisburg, then I would probably not wrestle. That was my thing. I thought college football was my way to go, but then I stopped growing, and then I wanted to go to Graham. My 8th grade year, I was like, you know what? If I want to get better and further my wrestling and technique and all that stuff, Jeff Jordan, I've always gone to his camp, so I was like, I want to get coached by him then. So yeah.
What was life growing up like then for you? I mean, small town, or you kind of had that small town feel, you said.
Yeah.
You get mom, dad, brother, right, too?
Yep. And sister, yeah, I got a younger sister, so I got, it was a lot of sports. I mean, I was, wrestling, playing football, and I played baseball. I actually liked baseball a lot too, so I, was a catcher, outfield, third base. I tried to play it all. And then my sister, she's, big into softball still, and she plays in high school, and we would always play outside. And I was just an active kid. I would have a lot of friends through sports, and a lot of times they like to hang out with me, but a lot of times they like to play video games. And every time I'd want to hang out with them, they wouldn't hang out with me as much because they knew it would involve, a pickup basketball game or like backyard baseball or something. Because they're like, oh, we should just chill today. But I always like doing something. But
what's your MLB team? Because I feel like you kind of floated around a little bit.
My MLB team, it used to be the Reds. I used to play backyard baseball with a friend of mine. His name's Dylan McManus, and he would be the Cubs maybe, and I would be the Reds, and we would go through the batting order. You'd start with, Joey. Well, it wasn't Joey Votto back then. It was, Brandon Phillips, Adam Dunn, a lot of guys, Ken Griffey Jr., of course. Just a lot of those guys that I remember. The Reds back then was my team. And then now that I've moved to Iowa, I just feel like, the Cubs, they win more. And, I'm a big fan of like the Cubs, the colors. Like, I just like, how I've been to a couple of the games at Wrigley, and I'm just a fan of like people who win and want to do good. And so, I don't think I have like a team, but I think I'm a fan of just, people that are professional and carry themselves well. And I think the Cubs are pretty dang good team. So
that jives with me, so I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Like, I'm not a bandwagon, but I would say I like greatness. So like Patriots, I'm a fan of Gronkowski and Tom Brady, like obviously. And so I don't really have an NFL team, but I have favorites as in, the greats, so.
Does that cause a little bit of tension in the room? I mean, I know you guys got a ton of Pittsburgh guys. Is October a little contentious? Yeah, there's a lot of Cubs fans.
I think it drives Kemmer nuts because Kemmer's the big baseball fan. So Kemmer's a big Pirates fan, and he's a diehard Pirates fan. Like, he's not one of those guys that, when you see a Pirates fan on the Iowa campus, a lot of times, they're either a really good fan or they have no clue who they even are. And so Kemmer's the one that's a diehard fan, and it kind of, I don't know, it kind of rubs them a little the wrong way just because I wear like a Cubs hat. But I think, you can't look into it as like, oh, I'm rooting for this team so much. It's like, no, like, it's the Chicago Cubs. Like, they've always been, they're a historic team. They took, 107 years to win the World Series again. And I mean, they got out of that slump. And so I think you got to like appreciate those teams. And obviously, you got the Reds in my hometown. I live 30 minutes from Cincinnati. So, I've always been a Reds fan ever since I was little. So.
Well, you just gave me a good transition there with the tradition and the history of a team. So you already kind of touched on it. 8th grade, you kind of want to stick with wrestling. So you go to St. Paris Graham. Obviously, they got a ton of history. They won like 1 billion state titles in a row. What was it like wrestling for a program like Graham?
I always look back on it. I'm like, dang, like we were we have a lot of guys that have moved on to the D1 level. And I think the biggest thing that helped me in my high school career was just having a state champ almost every single go. Like I would have, the Jordans, obviously my freshman year, was my drill partner. Micah Jordan was my drill partner my sophomore year. And so like I was getting beat up, Bo Jordan was 18, 19, his senior year. Like they always got held back at Graham. And, he was just beating me up, and I was 13, 14 my freshman year. So I was really young. And so I think getting that level of competition in the room was just awesome. And Coach Jordan, his principles, just how his family is and his wife. And, it reminds me a lot of what Tom preaches, just a lot of, working hard. And a lot of times guys ask me, what made Graham so good. And I just think that we at Iowa relate to Graham a lot because we're not the most talented, but we work hard. We work maybe the hardest. And so it's kind of like Blair and Penn State. Blair's got a bunch of talent, and sometimes it doesn't work out that well. Sometimes they don't work the hardest. Sometimes they don't live the right lifestyle. And that's not everyone, but I think that's what I've got. I kind of compare it to, obviously Penn State's been doing very well. And so I can't really, compare Graham's success to Iowa's, but that's kind of how I can compare it, I guess.
That's pretty logical. I think that's pretty fair. And you probably have the best insight, especially growing up as a guy that's wrestled Blair, and now you're wrestling Penn State. Yeah. So you got the history. Yeah. You can make your own comparisons.
Yeah, and obviously you get a guy like David Taylor that goes in there and he's a freak. He can do amazing things. And there's guys like, Eli Stickley, for example. He wasn't the most talented, but he worked the hardest, and no one thought that he'd be a D1 athlete or at least Big Ten school, and he was. And then for me, I didn't know that, my level of success, you never know. And so I think, like a guy like Ed Ruth or someone like that, those people are so, it comes easy to them, I think. And so, which is awesome, that's great. That's great for them. But I think that's the difference, I would say.
And then obviously they're a huge program. Everybody on the national level, anybody that's following national high school wrestling knows Graham. You've talked about they pumped out a ton of alums that have gone on to success, so everybody's aware of it. So did that kind of national spotlight as a high schooler kind of help you to transition into a college life? I mean, in Iowa, wrestling is our national sport, or state sport, I guess I actually should say. So you got a little bit of that rock star status as a wrestler in Iowa. So did some of that national exposure at Graham kind of help you ease into this college life?
I mean, yeah, for sure. I think for Graham, we were fortunate to go to the Ironman tournament. That's a big tournament in early December. I think seeing all those guys, I've seen, Manville my junior year, just a lot of guys that I see now in the D1 level have gone to that Ironman tournament. And then obviously dueling St. Ed's and Blair was huge. And so I think they've definitely prepared me. It definitely prepared me well. I think guys that see Graham, they think it's like a private school or like a big school. No, that Graham is a real small school in the country. It's maybe 100 students in a class. And so it wasn't a big school, but we definitely prided ourselves and winning state titles and national titles on the wrestling team. So, yeah.
And then when you obviously kind of had that, you were a big deal there in high school when you committed to Ohio State, and then you eventually flipped to Iowa. I remember talking to you, and you were talking, you had to make the decision that was best for you. Obviously, things are working out for you here in Iowa, but the one thing you said was really hard is you had to make this decision. It was a hard decision because it was going to be hard for your family members and friends. Not so much. It wasn't a hard decision for you to go to Iowa. So I just kind of was curious. Now it's been 3 to 4 years. Some time's elapsed. How's that been for those people back home where you said it was going to be a hard decision? How's that transition been for them, do you think?
I mean, I would say that they're fans of the Hawkeyes. They're big fans. I don't have the best relationship right now with my parents, I'd say, but I would say that they see and they've known that this is the place for me. And I think, my sister, my brother, they know that Iowa was for me, and they're thankful that I'm in the place that I am. They know that I've had a lot of great success, and I've taken hardships the right way, and that's because of Tom and Terry. And I think they're thankful. Here's the thing. I mean, they probably would have wanted me to Ohio State, but they know I'm happy, and they know that I'm in the place that I'm at the place that I want to be at. So I think they should be they should be happy that I am happy, I guess I'm trying to say.
The other thing I've seen, like I've noticed from you, is you've built, like, you're a guy that you build strong relationships, and they're long lasting relationships. Obviously one of those, the easiest example would be your now wife, your high school sweetheart. How long have you and Mariah been together?
Junior high sweetheart.
Well, yeah, I didn't know how far back you guys went.
Yeah, we were dating since I was like 7th grade, maybe. So probably 12 going on 13. I think I was 13 or something when we started dating. So it was like 8 years before we got married. I saw her at a tournament in Ohio called Philo. And so I saw her, and I knew she was in the Graham section. So like I kind of did like some research and some stuff on Facebook, and messaged her, and she's like, yeah, I saw you too. Like, she's heard of me, and then I've heard of her family, and so we exchanged numbers, and then next thing you know, we started going out like the night of the state tournament after the finals, and so that was pretty cool. And then ended up making it work. Not a lot of people can. We lived an hour away from each other, so we were young, and it's kind of a long, like, for being 13, that's long distance, I would say. Sure. And then once we were 15, 16, we could drive to each other's houses and spend more time with each other, and then just head off. And then she got to college before me because she was always a grade above me, and so I was jealous that she went to Iowa first. And then she created a great relationship, and then we've just been strong ever since. I think one thing that I said in my vows to her, my love's never wavered, and it never will. And I think that's one thing that people can tell about us, is that we've always been strong. It's not 8 years of breaking up and getting back together. No, it's we're in it for each other, and it's unconditional love. So not trying to get all sappy on you, but that's just who we are. So.
No, I mean, you guys seem like you have a really great relationship. It's been one of the more fun things for us to kind of be, we're experiencing from the outside a little bit, but we've gotten to know you both over the past few years. So that's been pretty fun to see. So how's that transition been? You're married, you're still in college. I mean, you're not even the average married person in college because you have this whole extra job of wrestling. So, I mean, how's that transition been for you?
I mean, it's been great. My friends are supportive, my teammates, my I consider my teammates my family. So they make it easy on me. It's Morningstar and Tom and Terry always tell me, just because you're married doesn't mean you don't hang out with your guys. And they know I'm not, going to be just home all the time, not hanging out with my teammates. And I do a great job of balancing. You got to always have a good balance in your life, whether you're having kids or you're having a team, you're coaching or whatever. I think I've definitely done a good job. I'll go over and play some video games, Madden, and then I'll come home to my wife, and we'll make some dinner or whatever. Just, you got to have a good balance. And I think it's been great. She's lucky. She's been graduated for a couple months now, and she's liking that and her new job. So, yeah.
That's funny because I was going to ask you too that as soon as you get married, the first question is like, so when's kids coming? So I can only imagine like, geez, like you having to deal with that with just you're a busy guy, man.
Yeah, well, I think I want to wait till after college for sure. I mean, obviously everything happens in God's perfect way, but you can definitely plan some things, and I think if I want to be the best father to my kids someday, I want to be kind of out of the college scene, I would say, because you go to class, you're always having to study, you're always having to go to practice and all that stuff, and that doesn't mean I won't have kids after I graduate, because I'll obviously further my wrestling career, but I could do it. There's been people that have done it, but it's not something that I'm looking to do right now because I got big goals in mind, and to be the best I can be, I can barely take care of myself sometimes.
Right.
So, feed myself and getting the right sleep and all those things. Not a lot of people can do both and have a lot of success. And I mean, and the people that can, I definitely give a lot of credit to. So yeah.
No, there's definitely no pressure from me. Exactly. And just so you know, you can be a full-grown adult out of college, and you can still feel like you can barely take care of yourself, and then you got to take care of something new. So just so you know, that part actually doesn't change.
Exactly.
Another one of those relationships that we've really seen you form is with Coach Morningstar. So can you kind of talk about how close you two guys are?
Yeah, I mean, he's like a brother / father to me because he's obviously he's about like 12 years older than me, but he just feels like he's anytime I've got something wrong, I can go to him. Anytime I'm dealing with some inner demons, I can go to him and we can talk about it. A situation that I'm in. He's always been there for me, and then he also he's taken the role of laying me in my place if I need to, maybe before a dual meet, if my weight's hurting, he'll tell me to man up, or in a stern way. It's not just like, oh man, come on, you got this. No, he'll tell me something if I need to be told. And I think Morningstar and I have a great relationship. We go out to breakfast all the time. We have dinner at his place, and the other night we got some sushi together, and it's just a great bond. I mean, not a lot of coaches are like Morningstar, and I'm very thankful because you gotta sometimes you see the guys that had a lot of success in their career like he did, they get a little arrogant and whatnot, and that's not Morningstar at all. I know a lot of assistant coaches that I've heard stories, and they don't like him, or sometimes it's just not the right fit, and Morningstar is the perfect fit. Tom always says Morningstar's job is to recruit and to coach us to national titles, and he's done a great job with that. So
a little bit of what was this, like 2 summers ago when that South Dakota State job opened up, we talked about it on our podcast, not you and me, but I'm just saying, it was talked about. I don't know if there's really stories ran about it, but I know, Ryan was in talk with South Dakota State after Bono left, and there was a little bit of just little interaction between those two. But I know there was a conversation that happened between you and Morningstar. Are you willing to share that? What happened when there was that was going down?
Yeah. I mean, I talked to Tom before I talked to Morningstar because Tom was just like, what's up, what's going down. He didn't want me to be, blindsided, obviously. But I kind of heard through the grapevine. I mean, stuff like that. Sometimes it gets out, and then I went into Morningstar's office. I said, hey, we got unfinished business. You know that, right? I still got 2 more years, three more years really, when I think it was talked about. And, I said, we got unfinished business. We haven't won a national title since 2010. Let's get that done. I want to be a national champion. I'm almost there. I did better than I did the year before, and I'm almost there. You're my guy. I told him, you're my guy. We need you. And that's what Tom and I wanted to kind of convey. Like, we need him. It's not fake. Like, we need Morningstar. We need him. He's a great coach. He gets me better on bottom. He's a great rider. He rides the crap out of guys in the room, and he's got a great vibe. He's tough to score on. I think Morningstar is one of the strongest dudes I've ever wrestled. And I'm not I'm not like gonna
Blowing
get him
smoke.
a big head. I'm not blowing smoke up my butt, like out of my butt. But seriously, dude, like you ask anyone in the room, he's one of the strongest human beings you've ever felt. I think it's definitely the farm strength he's gotten, but I think just how hard he's worked, so.
Yeah, let's get off Ryan, because we definitely don't want his head to get too big.
Exactly.
No, we love him. He knows that. But I wanted to ask you about the recruiting rules, because it seems like they've been changing a little bit. Now I think juniors can take official visits, and you were one of those guys that committed early, and now we're seeing this trend where, because juniors can take official visits, they're starting to make their decision earlier because they're on campus and they're getting that feel a year earlier than they did. So I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on, what do you think about all these guys that do make decisions early in their career?
Yeah. I mean, I think personally, like, I don't think they should have done that, just because you're so young. Like, I was so young, and I had a lot of people tell me what to do or what they wanted me to do. And I don't mind. I mean, junior year is not bad. I made the decision, and I thought I was pretty mature for my age, I thought, but I thought that I was taking a lot of people's opinions into effect, and I had a rare, it was a rare, situation. But if they're getting on campus at an earlier time, that's fine. But I think they need to know for sure, and do what they want to do. Because if I have a recruit with me and he doesn't know, you can't force him into that pressure, because they're young. Like, and that's the thing with, guys that are committing. There was a commit that was lost from Iowa, but you got to know, I mean, they're young. You can't. There's grown men, 50-year-old men that are like, what happened? Why did he decommit? It's like, he's young. He maybe doesn't know what he wants, but there's some guys that know for a fact. You know what? I'm going to Iowa. There's a lot of guys out there. I'm going to Penn State. I'm going to Ohio State. That's where they want to go. But then there's some guys that, like, maybe they're not as mature, or maybe they like different scenes and they want to go out there and party or want to do this, and so they're riding the fence on where they want to go, and not for the right reasons. And so I think it can help and it can hurt. So I think so what I'm trying to say is just, I don't know, they just got to know. You got to either be a man of your word, or you're just no. And so I regretted not doing what I needed to do because of other things, but it happens. So
I think it definitely is tough, and you're right. It does put the athlete in a little bit of a more difficult position and situation. But I just think we're just going to have to live in a world now where a guy verbals and maybe he does switch, and then you can end up with a situation like one of your new teammates, Gavin Teasdale, commits to Iowa, flips to Penn State, and here he is. Now it's his second year in his college career, and he's in Iowa City, back where he originally committed in the first place. So
exactly. So you always. I mean, Teasdale, he's a rare case too. I mean, there's always a story to everyone. I mean, they're always a different story, and I think they're all unique, and I think that's why the story of Gavin Teasdale is going to be something special, because where he was and now where he's going, and where he's going to be. So I think, you always see those stories about transfers and stuff and where they're going to be, and I bet the statistic of, transfers and staying in the same place and is very, it's drastic. I mean, it's crazy the amount of people that do different things and commit to different places. And so, it's hard to land a recruit, as a recruiter for Morningstar's position. He does a great job at not getting people, go leaving or something like that. So I think he does a great job at that, getting people. It's a tough thing, because you got a lot of people influencing you. Social media, that's huge. I don't have social media anymore because I just don't like all the talk. And so that's one thing that affects recruits a lot,
Speaking of, since we did talk about Teasdale a little bit, everybody's hungry to know because we're waiting for media day just so we can get in front of Tom and ask because we don't really have a good opportunity. So what can you kind of peel back the curtain and let fans know about Gavin Teasdale and what you've seen?
Teasdale's going 97. No, I'm kidding.
No, that wasn't going weight. I just wanted to.
I'm just kidding.
I know.
I'm
yeah.
kidding. I wanted to do something funny. No, I don't know. Gavin Teasdale is looking very good. He's looking very lean. He's sharp. He's strong. You know, we just had a morning run this morning at 6, and he's looking good, man. He's on track. He's living a clean lifestyle, and Terry's got him, man. Terry's doing a great job. Sam Brooks is doing a good job mentoring him, and we're helping him with school and, you know, getting him on track. And I mean, that's really all I can say because really I don't know too much because I do my job. I know my weight's 165, and whatever it's going to be. It's going to be either Spencer, Teasdale, DeSanto, Glenn, you know, Mirren, Lugo, anyone. Like, it could be anyone. I mean, Turk, it could be anyone. So Teasdale's a very special kid because he's so good, and so we got to train him smart in a way that will help him progress. You know, a lot of times you can throw the whole kitchen sink at Teasdale or a guy like him, and it might not work as well as it would me. And so we got to be – that's what Tom Terry is so good at is they find ways that make people great. And so it's awesome.
That's great to hear. And I think a lot of fans are, you know, really excited to see what happens and shakes out at those 33, 41-pound weight classes.
It's going to be cool.
I do want to roll it back a little bit and talk a little bit about last season because I know it didn't end the way obviously you wanted to. You were wrestling with the mission last year, and that was to win a national title. So with things not ending the way you wanted, how does that kind of affected your off season? Has it affected your off season, I guess?
I mean, yeah, I gotta not change a whole lot, but I got to improve in the areas that they beat me in. You know, I got to move my feet more. I got to be ready for the reattack. I got to, you know, I got taken down. The first time I got taken down was I'm pretty sure in the Wisconsin duel meet. I think I got reversed in the Midlands wrestling the kid from Brown, and then I got taken down in the Wisconsin duel meet by Wick, and I didn't move my feet. He shot off the whistle. Boom, I got to move my feet. I got to be ready. I got to stay in my stance, stalk him, and that's like me thinking right now because I worked on it maybe just yesterday. And so I got to be ready for the reattack. You know, I was shooting in the quarters and then, you know, shooting a bunch. And then, you know, he was reattacking, which, you know, people game, you know, people know what you're going to do. They know I got a high crush, you know, I got, you know, different things. And so I got to work from different angles and get on my horse to get better. You know, I got to see my flaws. I think that's one thing that is going to help me improve is that I see where I got to improve instead of just like brushing on the rug. Oh, I'll just get tougher. No, it's like, let's figure out why I lost and then own it and then have all that power that I have and control instead of just like, you know, going out there and getting shot on and then giving up a takedown. You know, I got to be in control with all the power that I got. So.
There's a lot of accountability there from you. That's what I'm hearing. One other thing I wanted to ask is obviously one of the guys that beat you last year, Mekhi Lewis, Virginia Tech. He's taken an Olympic red shirt this year, so I kind of want to get your thoughts. You know, are you a little bit disappointed that now you're not going to get that opportunity for a little bit of get your chance for redemption? I guess.
I mean, yeah, for sure. I'm definitely. I can't single out anyone because I've always learned that if you single someone out, you may not even wrestle that guy again. You know, you may not even like I have pictures on my walls of people, but sometimes it's not the best thing to do. You know, you got to be just going for that national title. Now, there are times when you do single out guys because, you know, they picked you apart in ways that you didn't think you could have been. And so it's like, all right, well, now I got to beat this style of wrestling. And so, yeah, I'm definitely disappointed. You know, I only got so many years left, and so I want to beat the guys that have beaten me. So it better happen by the time I'm graduated. So, you know, I got some revenge to accomplish, but I can't be thinking like that in a way because, you know, it could never happen. You could overlook people, you know.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I was actually just listening to, I don't know if you've heard of the Wrestling Changed My Life podcast. Ryan Warner's doing it, and he just released his episode with Dan Gable, and Gable was talking about how he set his sights to, he's trying to beat a guy from Oklahoma, and he went up a weight, and his whole season focus was for that match, and the whole thing is he focused on that match, but then he won. But after that, it was, well, now I got to still wrestle a couple more weeks for NCAAs, and he wasn't really focused on that. So I think that's from the legend of the sport himself would probably agree with that mindset.
Yeah, well, and it's like in high school, I lost at the Ironman tournament my freshman and sophomore year in the finals to a Blair kid, and so a couple weeks later we duel Blair, and guess who I got? I didn't have the guy that beat me. They sat him out. And so it's like I was looking for revenge every single time. My freshman year, we drove 12 hours, 16 hours or whatever, and I didn't even wrestle him. And so it's like, they pulled that stuff, but that's my fault for just saying, you know what, this is the guy I want to beat, and it'll make my season. That's not how it should be, I guess, but.
Let's talk a little bit about how you are getting better, and a lot of that is based on the talent in the room. So who are you, rolling around with these days?
Caleb Young, Kemmer, Brooks, Sam Brooks, Morningstar, Lugo a little bit, Avasad, Glazier, Nelson Brands, Jaron Glosser, all those guys. Vince Turk's a good guy. He gives me a different feel. I think there's guys that I got a whole group of wrestlers a whole group of teammates that really do a great job of giving me a good feeling. Young's got that great funky feel. He's always looking to score. Gloss is real strong. Turks shoots from open. Kemmer, if you don't move your feet, he's going to pick your ankles and turn you on top. And Morningstar is just strong. You always got to stay in good position with him, or he'll cradle you in like 5 seconds. So it's a good dynamic of wrestlers. And I think, for a guy like Patrick Kennedy, why would you not want to be in that room? There's guys that are All-Americans and that have done very well, Mark Perry. And so it's like, why wouldn't you want to come in and train with these guys? They're awesome. They're a great group of people. They live the right lifestyle. They're awesome,
So one of the guys you roll with, obviously, then is Kemmer, and what was that? 2 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years ago, I was going to say 2 years ago, he's a weight underneath you, so you got some size advantage on him, and now he's going up to 74. So how much fun has that been now that the paradigm's shifted and he's got the weight advantage on you?
Yeah. So since he's came back from his injuries and stuff, I haven't rolled with him too much, but I'd say sparring with him and stuff, he feels a lot bigger and he looks a lot bigger. So he usually spars a lot with Sam Brooks. And so I can't say that I've drill with him too much, but it's more, Young's more my drill partner and who I really go with. But Kemmer's just got a lot of better size, and I haven't really been a full go with Kemmer yet, but because he's been going with Brooks and stuff like that. I mean, he's big. He's a big dude. So I wouldn't be surprised if we go sometime soon because he's looking very, very good. So
I suppose Young's finish last season probably didn't surprise you then. Yeah, because he what did he do? He turned the corner and finally was able to beat Deacon. He makes the NCAA. Twice. Yeah, he makes the NCAA semifinals. I mean, that was kind of that was the moment. That was the Caleb Young. I think everybody was wanting to see all season. We know he's right there, and he was finally able to turn that corner.
Yeah, I just feel like Caleb Young, if he doesn't win nationals, it'll blow my mind. I think I'm being honest. I'm not being these guys suck or anything, because they're all very, very good in his weight, and they're all very good at every weight. But I'm just saying Young is so talented, is so good, and so strong, and lives the right lifestyle. If he doesn't win, I don't know. It's because he got out of position, and something happened, because I think, unfortunate things happen. Unfortunate things happen all the time. But I think Caleb Young is on a very great pass, and he's very determined, and I think I'm confident in him, and that's where you got to have that confidence that your teammates are going to do well. I really think he's going to win it. So
we've always been high on you boys. So I definitely, we loved having you guys came out to our first night of conflict event, and that was when we first got to see you guys firsthand. And I think we agree that we've always seen that you guys have that talent and you guys work hard, and that's something we've always enjoyed about you. So let's look a little bit forward to this coming season. The university finally put out the schedule, so we have it in writing what it's going to look like. So now that it's out there, what do you think about this home schedule?
It's awesome. It's everything that the fans have been talking about. So they're all been talking about Penn State, Ohio State, we're going, man. Okie State, we're going. And it's like, you know what? We got a tall task, but we got it, man. It's everything an Iowa fan would want, an Iowa wrestler would want. It's everything. So we got some good away duels, and we got a great opener. Chattanooga, Tennessee. I think that's going to be cool. Just some different dynamics of the season, and then right in a row, Penn State, Ohio State, and it's cool, man. It's going to be awesome.
I think is having that. Do you think last season compared to this season, are you expecting like that more packed Carver? Are you expecting that you're a guy that seems like you love that energy, and you go out there and you just, I'm going to be kind of making your head a little bit big here probably, but you just go out there and you pound guys. It seems like you feed off that.
Well, Tom says it's an entertainment business, and you got to entertain the fans. But honestly, it is about, humiliating your opponent. Honestly, I don't want to cut short or anything, but I'm serious. You got to go out there and you got to dominate your opponent and show them who's boss and whatnot. And so, I hope it'll be more packed, than last year. I think it will be. But I think the Iowa State dual meet was pretty electric just because it was close. But I think, with Penn State coming in, that better be sold out. I think the fans, if they love Iowa wrestling, how would you not be there? And even if you like or know Iowa wrestling, you should be there. Like, Ashton Kutcher should be there again, because this is like, just fans around the nation. Anyone, celebrity. Like, if you know Iowa wrestling, why would you not be at Carver this year at one of those duels?
Sounds like you got a career in sales after your college career.
I did take a sales class from a major, so. But yeah, and the thing is, it's not even about the schedule sells itself, so it's good.
So you got a couple weeks left between now and the season, like official practice starting. So what are you going to be doing these next couple weeks? Are you going to keep, are you gearing up? Are you kind of taking some time, like relaxing it off because the grind's coming, or what do these next couple weeks look like?
So it's being real smart with how much I'm on the mat with conditioning and lifting. And it's all like I'm doing it all right now because we're in our preseason phase. And right now it kind of just started this week, and we're running more. We're getting our bodies lean. We're trying to we're going to do certification pretty soon. And so it's about, training your mind, training your body, because we've wrestled and trained all summer and lifted. And now let's fine tune our wrestling to prepare for war. So like sharpen our weapons. Let's, burn that extra fat. Let's get about 8 to 10 pounds over, certify. Right now I'm probably 13 over, and which isn't terrible. It's a lot better than last year. Last year I was pretty big, with just things going on. But now it's like I'm fine. I'm better. My weight's better, and I can kind of focus on running a little bit faster, and so it's good. So,
all right. Well, we're definitely looking forward to the season. We've already talked about how packed this schedule is, and you've already told everybody that's listening that if you're a fan of wrestling, why are you not going to be at these duels? So I don't think I need to say anything else other than fans, you need to show up at Carver Hawkeye. Let's watch Alex Marinelli. We're looking forward to your season. So, thanks for joining the show today, bud.
Yeah, thanks, Ross.